All right, so this is Rocky back again. I spoke a little bit about us working and putting in some LED flood and fog lights, or not fog lights, but spots. So this is what I've got. I got these as a gift, Christmas gift card, Tractor Supply, and they are as good as any of the budget ones that I've seen. They seem really well built. The housing is nice. They're flush mount. These ones here, the thinner profile ones, are going to go in the front bumper. These ones here are going to go in the rear. Let me show where they're going to go here. Alright, so we go outside. These are going to go in this area here on the bumper. I was going to put them in here, but there's little tie-in plates where the sheet metal folds upon itself to kind of give it support and make it rigid, so I'm not going to cut that up. So I'm going to jump in here, cut my bumper up, and put these in. My only concern is now that because it's so thick that I'm going to have to cut a hole in the back also, and I won't be able to seal the bumper. So we'll figure something out regarding that so the bumper doesn't rust out. Probably have to put some drain holes underneath so that water that will get in there has a way to get out and doesn't accumulate. And we'll probably treat it with some brush-on paint or something like that. Okay, so we'll put one of these on each side. Unfortunately, I'll have to pull this bumper off, and it is a pain in the butt because it's got like 8 different bolts that hold this thing to the frame of the vehicle, and so we'll have to take all that apart so it's more accessible. The front's going to be easier, and basically we've got space to put that in there. Of course, it's going to be this way, and this is going to be like a driving light also. I'm going to basically power these up whenever the vehicle is hot. That way these are always on, day or night, and it's more to provide more vision down low and to the side of the road. So I'm going to put these in, and if you notice here, this bumper has been on here for about 5 years now, and it's starting to rust up a little bit, and I'm going to use some of that bed liner paint again. I mean, this is what I used last time. It lasted quite a long time. So we'll also scuff this and get it painted also. Another thing to consider is that the rear ones don't have plugs. So in the past, I didn't buy them for this project, but I bought them for every other project. So I got male and female 2 connector plugs. I think they're Deutsch plugs. So this is what we'll use. Already got this here, male, female, so I'm going to go ahead and splice those in, get these ready before I ever start cutting the holes in the bumper and pulling the bumper off. So get ready, I'll take and show you how easy and quick that is. And these are cheap. These are cheap to get, and believe me, it's a lot better than wire nut and using spade connectors and stuff like that, because these are supposed to be kind of water resistant and will last longer, and they're easier to use. Okay, so I've got my box full of marine grade heat shrink. I got my non-insulated crimp connectors. This is probably not as good as soldering, but soldering takes a lot more time, and this is perfectly fine. It's acceptable by all the electrical codes. And we'll get started on this, and then we got my heat gun, and we'll go ahead and knock these out. I'll get one of them knocked out and then I'll stop recording. Okay, what we have here is my GoPro beating me up again. And I've already finished one, but because of the language I used, GoPro didn't catch it. I don't want to say it too loud or it's going to do it again. So I'm going to do this one, and this one will be a show and tell on how to make this work. So I've got a piece of larger heat shrink over the covering here for the connectors, so that I can seal that. And then what I like to do is I like to cut these back so that you don't have two connectors, one right on top of each other, because then it looks like an anaconda that swallowed a goat when you get it all finished, because then there's a big bulge in the middle. So what we're going to do is trim back the red on this one and leave it longer, and then we'll put the two heat shrinks on here, because you don't want to do this after you get everything crimped together, because then you won't be able to get the heat shrink on. So put your heat shrink on first, like that. And so then this one's going to be left long. The red's going to be left long on this one. Put it on here. And then we'll have one for the other connector. Get it all on there. Make sure it's tight. And then we'll crimp the red one on first, and then we'll adjust the black connector on this plug so that it matches, because we staggered the length of these. Make sure you tug on them before you're done. Okay. And actually, yep, we can cut that right there. Awesome. Okay. And sometimes what I'll do also is, if I run a really good connection or sealed connection, if I want to make sure that I have a really well sealed connection, I'll use some of this liquid tape, and I don't think that's necessary because I'm doubling up on it already. But I would put it on the connector itself and then heat shrink it, and it would all seal itself up. So then we push the heat shrink over the connections. Get our heat gun, my Harbor Freight heat gun, and this is the premium Harbor Freight shrink gun. This is not the cheapie. Harbor Freight does make some pretty decent stuff. I mean, and when you consider that you can basically get something that's better than most of the junk that's out there, maybe not as good as the premium, but it's only a third of the price of the premium and half as good as the other junk. Harbor Freight has some good stuff. Are you kidding me? Phone's ringing? Go away. Alright. So now you never want to shut one of these heat guns off without letting it go into cool down mode first, because that element in there is super hot. You don't want to just set it down and let it cool ambiently. So I'll let it cool while I pull this back over. Draw some of the heat out. Got the other piece over. Needs to go back a little bit. Okay, get the gun. Go back to hot. Hot, hot, hot. Okay, go back into cool down mode. Put this on the floor. Alright, so that's what we've got. Got a pretty nice little setup there, weatherproof. And I think we're okay with that, so I'll go ahead and move on to getting the bumper off, which I'm not looking forward to. That bumper probably got 10, 12 bolts on it, and it's going to be really hard to get off because I put it on there as also a tow bumper. So I'll get started on that, and we'll look at cutting that bumper off so we can get these mounted in the bumper. And I don't know if you've turn this off now. I don't know if if you're familiar with the Jeep neutral safety switch, and it's also the switch for the backup lights. So preparing for this video, I wanted to see why my backup lights weren't working, and it was because the wires had basically broke out of this plastic form conductor. But BJ's Off-Road saved the day. I'm waiting on those parts to come in. I'm going to replace this connector here, clean this wiring harness up, and then hopefully that'll give us what we need to run our backup lights. However, I do know that the amps are higher than what that switch is probably rated for, so I'm going to use that signal wire to pull in a relay, and then that relay will send battery voltage back to the LEDs. That way I have no concern about that, and if my LEDs short out or blow up, that it's not going to blow a fuse underneath the dash and mess with anything else. So I'll start recording. All right, it's the first week of March, and it's actually getting warm again in Florida. And this is the first time since winter that I've actually turned on the air conditioner. That's why I was working inside. Now I got to go outside, and I've got to start pulling that bumper off. So I'll get a little bit of filmage of that. Not a whole lot going on. I'll run this until the battery runs out, and then probably start videoing again when I have it on the sawhorses and I'm able to start cutting those holes. Okay, let's watch. All right, so we've made some progress since last time, and right now it's showering outside. It's got a light drizzle, so I had to move the bumper and everything inside, but hopefully the rain won't get so heavy that you can't hear. But two things to mention is I was concerned about these being too deep, and that I would have to take and cut a hole through both sides of the bumper, which would make it problematic for me to keep dirt and moisture out of the bumper. So what I did is I actually cut 3/4 of an inch of the heat fins off, which now gives me the clearance I need. I don't have to make a hole on the backside for clearance, because now these are less than 2 inches deep and it will set in there just fine. So I cut both of those off, put a little bit of paint on them. They look original basically, and there's still plenty of fins on there. I wasn't really concerned about it overheating anyway. It's a backup light, and I'll put a switch in there so that I can manually turn those backup lights on if I'm working in the back, or if I need the extra lighting under some circumstances. And then what we're going to do is for this connector to come out of the bumper so that I can attach power to it. I'm going to drill a 7/8 hole, and I'll clip these so that I can wrap the grommet around the cord and then force the grommet into the hole, and it'll seal up. So everything's looking good, better than it did yesterday when I was working on this. So we're making progress. So let me show you what we've got going on with the bumper. All right, so we have this hole cut here, and we'll put the cord hole here with the grommet, the 7/8 hole. We got this one here, and now all we have to do is seal this flange here, and the bumper will stay dry, and I don't have to worry about it rotting out from the inside. All right, let's go to the next step. All right, so looking here, first thing to let you know, I didn't even mention it before, but I replaced the license plate light with an LED version, and I had to make room for the cord down here. And but if you look at it, everything looks real clean. Everything's connected. And if you follow it down to this end's connected. And if we roll it over, see if I can do that without wrecking things. Yep, you see the grommets are in there. Got double grommet, or got a grommet here. I got two cords, cables coming out of there. I'll probably fill that with some caulk, and mainly I use caulk instead of adhesive, is because one day I'll probably end up taking this apart again when I need to change something. All right, so that's where we're at. I am going to paint this with some Rust-Oleum, there it is over there, Rust-Oleum bumper paint before I go to put this back on. Everything went pretty well. I am happy with it, man. This looks good. And the good thing is I can easily disassemble it if things go bad. Because I don't have access to the back side, I didn't use the nuts. Instead, I tapped the bumper so that I could screw right into it. And so those are 6mm studs that go in there. And like I said, I'm going to take and clean this up a little bit and paint it, make everything look brand new. It'll last for about a week, and then it will be back to the old status. All right, so let's move on to the front.